All right. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome to AMA. Welcome to Afternoon Market Action. My name is Ryan. Pleasure being your host. As a lot of you know, Glenn had some dental issues earlier this week on the live stream, as some of you saw. So it'll just be me. But good news, great news, actually. He's going to be back in the saddle tomorrow. At least last I heard, so hopefully, we'll give you some updates on that come tomorrow. But it should be Glenn for Trending Thursday come tomorrow, so everyone wish him well. If you can hear me, if you can see me, let's get all that stuff out of the way. Put the appropriate VV in the comment section. I know the alert just hit, so we'll give everyone a moment to get in the room here. Janice, hello Ryan, hope Glenn is getting his teeth under control. Yes, as far as I know, he does have some updates there, and he is taking the proper steps to fix some of those issues. And Glenn will be back tomorrow, like I was saying. He should be here for Trending Thursday, so that is great news. But looking at the market today, a lot of enthusiasm. We got a gap up like we did yesterday, right? However, we lost that enthusiasm pretty much so far. We'll look at the intraday charts, but I haven't seen it really roaring back. I know the NASDAQ was up a little bit last time I looked. And Joey, let's go ahead and jump into the VectorVest 7 software. We got the homepage up. All right, looks like Glenn is in the comment section here. Howdy, everyone. I am here in the chat today. Glenn, thank you for joining us as well. Everybody, you know what? Put a 1 in the comment section. Give a shout out for Glenn for showing up today. I know he's still in a lot of pain here, but here he is going out of his way, showing how much he loves you guys and wants to put you on the right side of the market. We got John, Pennywise. Hey, guys. Hey, everybody. Phyllis. All right, we got the 1s. Thank you. I'm sure Glenn is feeling the love there. All right, so now we're in the VectorVest 7 software. Let's talk about it, right? This is the weakness I was talking about. We got, currently, if we look at the market timing gauge, we're directly yellow in the barometer, right? So all of our proprietary market indicators, they are taking a little bit of a pause today, right? No green lights on the homepage as of today. If we take a look at the major indices, though, the Dow Jones looks like it's down 100 points. It just changed, sorry, down 0.25%. The NASDAQ, it was up a lot more, but it looks like we're still about 0.5% in the positive. And the S&P struggling to stay in positive territory here at 0.2%. So let's take a look at some intraday charts here. Let's start off with the S&P 500 first. Oh, I forgot about this. We're going to hold shift, right? There we go, maximize. All right, there's the S&P. Let's go to the 1-day intraday chart, 1-minute bars. There's the big gap up that I was talking about. And look at yesterday into the close. Actually, let's get a better sense here. Let's go over the last 2 days. All right, the S&P strong outside of the gate yesterday. But look at that steep sell-off going into the close. And it looks like we're just struggling to stay above that close as of right now. I see the gap was clearly filled first thing this morning. The market's waning as far as the S&P 500. Now let's take a look at the tech-heavy NASDAQ. There we go, NASDAQ. NASDAQ showing a little bit more optimism, right? I think we're going, again, with the tariff situation, we were at a risk-off approach, and now it looks like the market is trying to, put a little bit more risk on when it comes to investments here. The NASDAQ, the gap up, the momentum out of the market open. You can see the full-body candlesticks. Let's zoom in here. You can see that momentum going in for at least about the first 10 minutes of the market. Shortly after the gap, for the most part, it was almost closed completely. Let's go back here. Let's go back to the close. Yeah, looks like we were right at the close there. So it looks like we had just a simple gap fill right out of the gate this morning, and then the bulls took off, and now just volatility into the market. It is closing up to the upside. Like I said, the NASDAQ 100, the Q's about 100 points to the upside right now, or sorry, about 60 points, 0.5% to the upside. Let's see here. Or no, it was 100, sorry. About 0.5 point to the upside. But again, let's take a look at the VectorVest composite. Again, this is our broad market, the way we track the broad market, right? Again, we're tracking over 9,000 stocks throughout the entire U.S. market. It gives you a better overall representation of what's going on. So let's Take a look at the stock chart here. And this does have a lot of the small caps in it as well. See if the small caps are holding their ground. Maximize. There we go. We could see the full-bodied candlestick, a nice level of support that we are currently on. Let's zoom into a 3-month time span here. You can see price action, the low coming in today, right at 70.09, with the top of this now support zone, I should say, right at $70. So it looks like the market's trying to utilize this as a level of support, right? But if we break below this zone, we do have a gap to fill. So keep that in mind. But with price action, clear divergence away from the 20-day EMA. If I take a look at price action here, you can see diverging away, outpacing that 20-day EMA by quite a bit here. So it's showing momentum for the bulls, right? We see all the green candlesticks here. The market taking a little bit breather of today. Hey, not a big deal at all. Maybe just put a pause on on buying stocks, or focus on more undervalued stocks, safer stocks that are still rising in price, right? Let me get caught up in the comments section here. We got someone from Switzerland. Hey, Missimo. John Boston Hood looks like it needs to rest for a bit. Yeah, especially with Ethereum, Coinbase, a lot of momentum when it comes to crypto, pushing Hood up. That's a good one. We should definitely take a look at that, later in the segment here. Stops in place to protect the gains over the last week. Troy, I think that's everyone. Actually, let's click on this. Let's pin this one here. This is important, right? We all know the market's rallying right now. It was because there was, rumors of a deal with China over this past weekend. We got the 90-day pause. That is not a deal. It's a pause, right? So obviously there was not a deal to be struck. We got 90 days to work with. So we're going to see momentum to the upside as long as the news is positive. I have a feeling if there's still no deal getting closer to that 90-day period, it's probably going to put fear back into the market and bringing the tariff situation back into the forefront of the news, and not in a positive way. But again, we'll cross that bridge when it happens. But right now, VectorVest Composite, clear uptrend. And again, if you just want to keep it easy, stay on the right side of the trend, not overthink it, not stress about it. There it is, right? There's the trend line. If it breaks that trend line, or if it breaks this resistance zone, let me get rid of this one. You can see the trend line, perfect trend here, several touches, 1, 2, 3 touches, 4 touches here, right on this trend line. If it breaks this level of support, then again, it's probably going to break this trend line just as well. If it breaks these 2 items, get defensive. Troy, great point here, right? Stay disciplined. Phyllis says, do you think SMCI will keep going up a big jump? Phyllis, I think as long as there is positive news in the semiconductor space, if you noticed last week I did a video, NVIDIA and AMD, I believe that was last week, but I talked about how the Trump administration pulling back some of the chip restriction policies, right? This week we're getting more enthusiasm with semiconductors. We saw the Saudi Wealth Fund, the meeting there with world leaders. Hey, $600 billion investment in AI projects going forward. That's a huge commitment. That's going to boost stocks. In tonight's presentation, it's on semiconductors, so I'm not going to talk about semis too much. A lot of the typical semi names in there, but I just went into both semiconductor industries, manufacturing, and equipment, picked the top 5 by VST, broke them down for you guys. So it's a great video, good concept there, and there's some good news in the space. As NVIDIA, again, Bill, I definitely know Bill was and John, I believe you were there as well. Was this Power Hour 2 Fridays ago? We're talking about the reverse head and shoulders that NVIDIA was displaying. It wasn't the prettiest reverse head and shoulders, but it did match up that chart pattern, and the stock broke out of that downtrend, right? The descending channel. So good things to keep on your mind. Semiconductors, right? Don't sleep on semis right now. And while we're talking about certain industries, things of that nature, I do want to take a look at the top RT industries, because now, obviously, gold, precious metals, those type of industries, foreign entities, those have been the plays, right? That's what's the top RT industries within the VectorVest 7 system has been showing us. And some of those still exist. You see Bank Foreign here, closer to the top of the list. But now we're seeing new players come in, steel, alloy, right? That's been making its way in over the last week or so. Currency other, this is going to be crypto. I don't know if you saw, but Ethereum's had a huge run. You got, look, sector, technology stock, industrials, container. It's a little bit more diversification than what we have been seeing, right? It's all been gold or foreign entities, whether, it's foreign ETFs, foreign regional, foreign banks, things of that nature. But we're seeing a little bit more diversification on the top RT industries. So that's good news, right? And look, and as far as the top VST stocks, look, they are not dominated by gold stocks now. And we're actually, look, NVIDIA in the top 5. It's been a while, right? NVIDIA's at 134, up almost 4% today. Now, if I help put you guys on the right side, whether it's NVIDIA or AMD, because I've been doing a lot of videos as far as bottom fishing, trying to keep you on the right side of some of these trades. If I helped you do that, please hit that like button. So that way we could give some support to the channel here. But again, these top VST stocks, pretty mixed today, right? The market's taking a breather. VectorVest advocates caution when buying stocks at this time. Now, we take a look at some of the big news headlines here. Look, big tech boosts NASDAQ as corporate deals get sealed. Exchange equities mix. House Speaker supports a stock trading ban. Ooh, that's interesting. What is this one here? For U.S. lawmakers. I know a lot of traders have been talking about that. That is interesting. Might have to do a story on that in the future. I know a lot of individuals have talked about certain congressional members doing very well in the stock market. And while we're here, let's go over the news real quick. Talking about semiconductors and the positivity coming out in the news, right? Because before it was all gloom and doom. A&D, I think, was going to lose just $1.5 billion worth of revenue from China. NVIDIA is going to take was about $5-6 billion hit with revenue. But look, AMD, they're buying back the shares, right? We've been talking about it, AMD and NVIDIA, very undervalued positions, especially when both of them are under $100. Try not to get you to sleep on them. If you put your feet in the sand, if you dipped your toes in the water there, probably going to work out pretty well for you, right? Yep, Pennywise, AMD announced another buyback. Look at this, $6 billion in share buybacks. Whew. AMD is the most important artificial intelligence company aside from NVIDIA. Well, me personally, I'm going to probably put TSMC above these two, along with ASML, just because they're the ones providing the technology to AMD and NVIDIA to manufacture these chips. Without those two companies, AMD and NVIDIA wouldn't be able to manufacture, so it'd be a different environment. But those 4 companies, I've said it before, they're pretty much call them the AI mafia, because they're the ones who control everything. And look at this. AMD announced a deal potentially worth $10 billion in investment on Tuesday to support the AI company called Humane in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, especially with cheaper oil right now, we all know oil is not the play. They're trying to diversify, right? And they're trying to get their hands in some of the AI, the chip market, all that good stuff. They got the money to do it, and U.S. companies need these investments to stay ahead of the curve, stay ahead of China, right? That's what it's all about. So you can see the enthusiasm. Look, AMD's up just shy of 4%. So, what do I think of AMD? What do I think about any of those? They're good positions. They're not going anywhere. And I know it was rather aggressive, but if you did some bottom fishing and you got some, some pretty good deals on AMD, NVIDIA, probably going to work out pretty well for you. Here's an interesting article. Waymo recalls 1,200 self-driving vehicles after minor collisions. I know it was Amazon's EV. It was a couple weeks ago. We mentioned on the live stream. They had to do some software updates due to an accident. But Google's still up today, right? It's up 3.25%. If you're holding Tesla, this probably looks good for the Tesla holders, right? But still, this right here, any type of collision, that's going to create probably more policy, more red tape, more updates, software updates when it comes to self-driving technology. That's the biggest fear, right? is accidents. Here's the next article. Tariff receipts topped $16 billion in April, a record that helped cut the budget deficit. We'll see what happens with the budget deficits. I know the tax bill was just approved, I believe it was by the House today, right? So we'll see. But a lot of big CEOs, BlackRock's, JP Morgan CEO have said the U.S.'s debt potential problem down the road, right? Big problem. So utilizing this extra tariff money to help put it towards the deficit, not a bad idea. Good for business all around, right? But you can see, look, custom duties total $16.3 billion, up 86% from $8.75 billion, and then more than doubled from a year ago, just $7.1 billion. So if it was $7 billion, now it's at, what, $16 billion? So you're looking at an extra $9 billion a month. That's not pennies. The physical year-to-date deficit fell to $1.05 trillion, which is still 13% higher than a year ago. So you can see, some of these actions, are being utilized to bring down that deficit, bring more certainty to the markets. Penny-wise, $16 billion is a drop in the bucket. Yeah, it was $36 trillion right now. 37, Glenn says. So, obviously there needs to be more cutting, right? And cutting the spending while trying to keep growth and all that good stuff, it's a double-edged sword. We'll see how it plays out. But as long as that money is not being wasted and going toward a deficit, hey, I'm all for it, right? But we'll see how that works out. Next story, we got Ethereum. Now, Ethereum has been hot. I was actually talking about Ethereum to Mark, our VP, on Monday or Tuesday. It's up like 60% over the last month.
I own it.
You own Ethereum, yeah. Glenn? You own crypto?
I own crypto. I own Ethereum.
Like the ETF or
ETF?
ETH or ETHU?
ETHE.
Oh, okay. Nice. Well, Glenn, I don't know if you know this or not, but this is why. The Pectra upgrade. Pectra upgrade, essentially, Ethereum's been around for a while. There are other cryptos that are faster, more efficient, especially than Bitcoin. If you look at like XRP, Solana, they're just faster, they're more friendly with wallets, things of that nature. It's just trying to bring Ethereum up to date to some of the newer protocols, especially, to enhance like their layer 2, if you know what that is. It's pretty much like their sub coins. No one cares. But as far as Ethereum, crypto, we saw Coinbase up, 25% yesterday. It's going to be added to the S&P 500. Bitcoin's up over 100,000. The momentum is there for crypto. Is it taking a breather today? I'm not too worried about it. And as well, I think it was New Hampshire, Delaware, just enacted the crypto reserve. And it got voted into law. Now, this is the last story today. And this is coming from yesterday's video. Thank everybody who supported that video. Great views on it. It was on shipping stocks, right? You think about it, shipping stocks, they've been going down, down, down last 6-9 months, depending on the stock, potentially longer because the tariff news has been around. So we've been hearing about tariffs now for about 9 months, right? But now everyone had to rush, get their products over, right? They enacted this the tariffs. John says it was New Hampshire. Oh, nice. Okay. But they enacted the tariffs, right? So everyone, we saw the drop in goods, but now there's a 90-day pause, right? So what's that going to cause you? It's going to a lot of business take advantage of this 90-day pause and get the products over. Shipping companies, they're already jumping up from it. I see it more of as a swing trade, pretty aggressive in nature. A lot of these stocks are volatile. Safety ratings, not the greatest. So just throwing that out there. But if you like momentum, you like swing trades, take a look at some shipping companies. I've got a couple in the software today. So let's actually just go over there and take a look at them. Go to the viewers tab. Oh man, what happened to my stories? That's not right. All right, delete this. All right, we had AMD, Google, ETHU. What was one? I had some shipping coming. Yeah, I had Zim. All right, there we go. Now you see the pretty mixed here. Ethereum, that's what's getting hit today, right? The double leverage down over 7%, while the single leverage spot ETF down just over 3%. it's taking a breather, right? I'm not too concerned about it. It's had a big run over the last month. Hey, it is what it is. But we got AMD and Google along with Zim. And look what's leading the charge right now. Look what's leading that momentum. Zim, the shipping company here, coming in. Let's see, RT, actually not the highest. Ethereum's is going to be the highest here, no surprise. And then we've got AMD at 1.56, then Zim, and then Google itself coming in at 1.07. All the stocks do have buy ratings. So again, this is nice momentum plays here. Look at the growth rates of some of these companies. The sales growth rate, 80% for Zim. Leading earnings growth rate coming in with AMD at 24%. Definitely some good companies to have on your radar. Let's just take a look at some of the charts here, see what kind of opportunities we got. All right, here's AMD, the descending channel. You can see the channel, I was thinking potentially a channel here, broke above my level of resistance around 115. Looks like it's trying to utilize those levels of support now at 117. Price action above that 20-day EMA, above the trend line. I like what I see here. If we take a look at earnings or EPS, earnings per share is much higher than it was a year ago, right? At the beginning of the year, yes, some of the forecasts have dropped off. Obviously, with tariffs and chip restrictions, things of that nature. But, it's still well over where it was 12 months ago. And look at the valuation. Company's still undervalued, approaching $140. Price action is now on the rise. Value now on the rise. This is my favorite chart pattern here. We're pretty at the infant stage of it. It's been going on about 2 weeks now, 3 weeks. Next up, we got ETH or Ethereum. Look at the big gap up candlesticks here. Let's do 3-month time span. Went from just shy of $18 now to $24. You can see the descending trend line here. Soon as it approaches its last time, big gap up, off to the races, still diverging away. If I'm looking to, buy a dip kind of situation here, probably try to find some level of support pretty soon. Looking around 23.50. See what price action does around this level. See if we get a nice pivot. Could be a good dip opportunity here. The prior high was closer to $40 coming in at the beginning, the end of last year. Let's see here. Look at the high. 38.77. So a lot of potential there compared to the prior high. Look at Google. The valuation hitting, it looks like a high here. Valuation coming in at $249. The prior high, $252. So it looks like it wants to eclipse that prior high relatively soon. It is on the rise. Fresh buy rating as of today. Full-bodied candlestick. Rising earnings. This is a Mag 7 company I can get behind. You can see the consolidation here. Obviously, if you want some confirmation, probably looking about right. We're getting there. We're getting some rejection right at this level of resistance here from the prior swing high. So let's get above this. It's going to be above around 166 if you're not in it. Around 166.81. Otherwise, if you are in it, hey, as long as it stays above that 20-day EMA, no real reason for concerns right now. As I scroll down, we got Zim here. We got fresh buy rating, like bottom fishing opportunity. If I go to a year here, and a lot of the charts were like this. When I did the video last night, you could see the momentum to the downside with the fear of tariffs as early as November, right around the time of the election, right? But value on the decline, price action on the decline. That's what I'm saying. Treat this more like a swing trade than an investment. Earnings per share has been on the rise. I do like that. The stock is undervalued. Fresh buy rating. So a lot of good opportunities here. A lot of good indications when it comes to the stock. Again, that's Zim Integrated, transportation ship company. Next company, we got ETHU, this double leverage ETF. You can see the 20-day EMA. Clear resistance. Consolidated right around it, broke above it, off to the races here. I like what I see. This Ethereum just double leverage. Again, this is ETHU. Some of the stock picks I have for you. I've got bottom fishing. I went over to Unisearch. If you don't have access to the software, I'm telling you right now, one of the best parts of the software is going to be the searches bottom fishing folder. Bottom fishing opportunities don't happen every day. a couple times a year, but this folder can make you a good chunk of change those couple times a year. Has the potential to really enhance your portfolio going forward. So here, this is the search I ran, best of the biggies, right? The comments, this strategy will find high market cap, above average long-term potential with nice growth rate, right? So we're looking at a good RV, nice growth rate earnings, big market cap company. A lot of these companies you're going to be familiar with. So go back over to the viewers page. These are the stocks that came in the list. Look, some of these are semiconductors. We got Marvel here at the top of the list. Bellring Brand, Globus Medical, Novo Nordisk, that's a big name here, Eli Lilly. Some of these are positive as of today. A lot of sell recommendations here. Let's take a look at the graph, see if there's any bottom fishing opportunities presenting themselves. That's a nice chart. Lower left, upper right. I mean, huge gap up. Looks like a bearish engulfing right after that gap up. It's probably earnings. Price action dropped below that 20-day EMA. The stock is slightly overvalued, so investors are willing to pay a little bit of premium on it. But what I do like, I mean, price action and value are almost moving up in tandem over the last 12 months, along with earnings per share. So this, it looks like a pretty steady Eddie stock here over the last 12 months. This might be a good one to have on your radar. As we take a look, we got ARGX. This company, well overvalued, but we see value on the rise trying to catch up. And with the stock actually, if it eclipses this prior low, I can't get behind it right now, and it's a bio company. I'd wait to see it get closer to value or value, meet it somewhere in the middle. Earnings is on the rise. But yeah, with the momentum to the downside, I'm not seeing much of an opportunity there. Here we've got Eli Lilly. As long as Eli Lilly can hold this prior low here, right now we would have a higher low, right? So we'd look for a higher high, creating that uptrend. It's a down day today. Can't get too enthused. You see it hit a new 1 month low. But if I go to 6 months, the value, look at this, value is actually breaking out of this range bound that it's been, coming in now at 628. Price action here, 717. So not too far apart. I mean, it's slightly overvalued. Investors are willing to pay a little bit of a premium there. But as look at the earnings per share, even the forecasted earnings since the beginning of the year has starting to tick up again. So nice opportunity, but it does have a sell recommendation. If we get any kind of blast off day or positive sentiment in the stock, but this might be one definitely put on your shopping list going forward. Here we've got Novo Nordisk, another drug company, greatly undervalued. We got the low coming in several weeks ago. That 20-day EMA. Price action struggling to stay above it. I'd really like to see price action get back above it before entering the trade. If you are in it, I mean, right now the low looks like it could potentially be in as long as price action stays above this low. Hey, we're good there. It's at $64. The low's coming in at $57. So is that about $7 away on a $60? About 10% away. That's a decent stop by all means. Here we got earnings per share. I mean, earnings per share since February, rocking and rolling, nice steady stair-step fashion to the upside. I like it. I like what I see here with this company. Pennywise says, I wouldn't be surprised if Netflix, Amazon, and Google eventually gets Monday Night Football. I wouldn't be surprised either. Netflix as far as football?
Yeah, I think Netflix got something.
I did a short on Netflix, I think it was last summer, when it was the fight, the Mike Tyson fight. Their step into live television, that's going to be huge, especially sports. I mean, with the amount of subscribers that they have, really, I would imagine any kind of sports team would want that exposure to their customers worldwide. I like Netflix. I cannot lie there. NVO, great for international exposure. Novo Nordisk, yes, Pennywise, that's actually a good idea. Novo Nordisk, it's European. What is it? Swedish, Dutch? I think it's Swedish or Dutch. Anybody know? Pennywise, do you know? Here we've got LNTH. As of right now, price action, this gap down. We see a prior low here. But with value on the decline, price action on the decline, I can't get behind this one here. See opportunity here, Globus. Let's go to 1 year. But value is starting to tick back up here quite a bit. You can see valuation on the rise, but with the gap down that we just received, I mean, the sell rating still holds. The play here, which actually might be a really good play, see if we can get into that gap. That's quite a big fill. Let's see here. Let's do a freehand line, horizontal. The gap starts around $61 to fill that gap. We're looking at closer to $71. So $10 move, around 60 bucks. I mean, that's about what, 13, 14% there just to fill that gap. This might be a play, but just look out for this 20-day EMA. Price action might utilize that as a level of resistance. Here's Amgen, another drug company, 1 month low. I do like the spike in the earnings per share here. Finally breaking out of that downtrend when it comes to earnings per share, bringing some life back. However, investors not that enthused. Another low here coming in. Let's go to 1 year. This looks much better, not quite as a steep sell-off. See, as long as this pivot, if we can get a pivot back up, maybe back above that 20-day EMA, that'll bring us in a higher low. Stock's way overvalued. Yeah, I would do more of a swing trade here. Earnings per share is on the rise. I do like that when it comes to this position. Now here's Bellring Brands, another gap down. We do have a gap to fill here. Let's take out that candlestick 2 days ago. If we could take out that candlestick 2 days ago here, see what the date line is. The high comes in 62.76. Valuation starting to creep back up. Earnings per share has been rocking and rolling the last 6 months. So I do like this. I just want to see some confirmation coming in this high right here on May 12th. So let's surpass this and get above 65.49. Here we've got Marvel. This is going to be the last stock on this list. The stock came all the way down to its valuation, became fairly to slightly undervalued for several trading sessions. Now starting to pivot to the upside. Valuation starting to rise a little bit more. Price action starting to rise. Sell recommendation fading away. Now going into hold, showing that downside momentum starting to wane here. And honestly, with the semiconductors, with the sentiment we're seeing in the semiconductor space right now, Marvel may not be a bad position to consider. Probably would prefer AMD or NVIDIA, but let's see, Marvel coming at 65 bucks. It's not a bad play. John Boston, Ryan, can you check off the earnings box? BRBR went down on earnings. Let's see here. Let's go back up. Oh, that was earnings. All right, definitely take a look at that earnings report. See what was said. Doesn't look like investors are getting too enthused right now. All right, let's jump back out. Let's see what other stocks. Oh, this one I thought was good before we get to your picks. I did the Qs. I do this from time to time. I picked the most undervalued stock from the Qs here. Here let's resort these. We've got NVIDIA at the top of the list. AMD at 1.18. Oh, let's resort this here. All right, we've got, Micron at the top of the list. Kraft Heinz Company. Here's a big one, SMCI. Everyone's been talking about in the comment section, up 17% today. Look at our valuation, $69. I haven't seen a headline in regards to its accounting irregularities in a while, and that was what brought the stock down, right? As long as that news is behind it, I can definitely get behind SMCI, especially with the rise, in more AI data center infrastructure, more investment in this infrastructure from the Saudi Arabia Wealth Fund. Again, $600 billion, nothing to mess around with. Looks like investors thinking SMCI is going to get a piece of that pie. Here, we got Google, Warner Brothers, Adobe, Oil, Baker Hughes. I can't get too enthused right now. Gilead. I'm thinking oil, we got to wait a little bit further into summer, but just I can't get behind oil too much right now. Gilead Science is down. Let's see what the big movers are here. With the undervalued stocks in the Qs, these are the big movers. We got Adobe, Meta Platforms, Qualcomm, Applied, Lulu. Lulu is the only one that's not tech related in positive territory. All these are tech related. Let's see what Lululemon's is doing. We already know tech's running right now. Let's see what Lulu's doing. We've talked about Lulu. couple times on this channel. And I think it was mostly at getting closer to our valuation. Oh, wait, wrong one. There we go. Yeah, look, stock is greatly undervalued. This over the last year here. You can see the stock. This was back in its prime. Investors willing to pay a premium for it. The stock, this was a gap down from earnings, I believe. Yep, there's the earnings. And ever since that earnings call, it took a long time for the stock to recover. But looking at the position now, I mean, there is a lot of momentum here. Nice full body candlestick today. You can see my level of resistance. I've looked at the stock before. Comes in around 348. Treated as a zone up to 377. Right now the stock's trading at 366. So it's got some room to run. And on top of that, there's a gap to fill here, right? You see the price action in the gap, making its way through the gap right now, diverging further away from that 20-day EMA. And look at the earnings per share on the rise. Fresh buy rating. And we zoom back out. This stock hit its most recent high above $431. That's over $100 away on a $300 stock essentially. So you're looking at about 30% upside there if it hits a new high. I do like this trade, especially if you need to diversify away from tech. This may not be a bad one to consider. Let's close out here. All right, I'm going to give you about 30 seconds. Hit that like button. Depending on how many likes we got, that's how many stocks we're going to take a look at. So I'll give you a moment to do that. Let's go back to the homepage to see what the market is doing. The Dow Jones starting to recover a little bit. S&P making its way a little bit more in positive territory. Not much movement. The NASDAQ was around $100. You can see right now $121 about 40 minutes later when we were seeing this. So the market creeping up in the afternoon. As far as the top VST stocks, not much has changed here. NVIDIA still number 5. But look, we got Sterling Infrastructure, Comfort Systems. A lot of these stocks are going to be, building-related stocks. But look at Broadcom making its way into the list. Let's see what else is in here. Robinhood. Actually, I want to take a look at Robinhood. View stock graph. So if you do give me Robinhood, think of a different one because I'm going to take a look at it right now. Look at Robinhood go. You know what I'm kind of seeing here? This could be a cup and handle. This could be the early signs of a cup and handle here. I mean, it's looking pretty cup and handle-ish. We got the cup. Just waiting for the cup to get back up a little bit more, closer to this high. I mean, it's pretty close. But if we start to see handle, then you know what to look out for. You look out for that breakout. Breakout of that handle, right, for the bulls. But as far as valuation, I mean, this stock, greatly overvalued. I could definitely appreciate the valuation on the rise. I mean, it went from $10 valuation to about $30. So value has tripled from the VectorVest metrics. However, price action went from about 20 to 60. So it's also tripled as well. So that's a good ratio to think of. It is overvalued, right? But again, there's going to be a heavy retail presence here. A lot of the move has to be crypto related, things of that nature. But crypto aside, the space in the industry, financial brokers, has been hot. And look at the forecasted earnings of this company. Starting back at 20 cents a year ago. Now it's at $1.23 earnings per share. RT relative time. This is a lot of momentum right now. Right? Think about it. The scales on 0 to 2. We're at 1.89. So I'm not saying it can't keep going up. But just know when it wants to pull back, it could get pretty volatile, right? Hood needs what Glenn would call basiosity to build the handle for the cup and handle. I agree with that. That's deep, right? But yes, we're going to need to, you can see what I'm talking about. We're getting right up on the other side of that cup. We'll see if a handle forms. We'll see which way it breaks out. But just throwing that on your radar. Hood, though, I still like Hood. All right, let's go back here. Let's put in your stocks. Joey, how many stocks we got?
Likes?
Or like, sorry. All right. 6 stocks.
59 likes.
All right.
6 stocks. Oh.
See your customer picks. Oh, this is where they went. The wrong one. Hit delete. All right, let's see here. DRS, TPC, PRIM, QSI. Okay, someone put in QSI here. CLS, SOUN. Someone put TPC. Let's see if that is the top one. SMCI got a $20 billion deal with Saudi company. Okay. I had a feeling after that deal yesterday, and with the chip restrictions kind of trying to be eased a little bit, semis are going to run. So we got PEN. You know another company to look at? Was it AI? How many stocks we got there? Minus my one that I put in there, AI. We've got 8. You know, I'll be generous. I'll give you 3 more. Call it an even 10, which brings it to APA. eToro, yes, Chris. I saw eToro did debut. It's not in the software today because of IPO day. It'll probably be in there tomorrow. I'll message Angie, our data manager, just double check, but it should be there tomorrow. Let's see here. Oklo, BBAI. All right, so we got here. Most of your stocks in positive territory today. Let's see what the most undervalued stock here. Looks like CLS, along with Prim Services, TPC in third place, QSI not far behind, slightly overvalued. Price 154. Looks like QSI making a comeback here. Let's see your APA. Let's do this. Let's scroll over to the right. Let's see who's got the biggest sales growth rate of these companies. Biggest sales growth rate, QSI and SoundHound, 198% for QSI. SoundHound coming in at 151%. Those are pretty phenomenal numbers there. If we take a look at earnings growth rate, CLS at the top of the list, followed by with a tie, we've got PEN and TPC, Tudor, pretty, tied at 23%. The loser, Oklo, 0, negative 10%. That's the only one that's 0 on the sales growth rate, nothing negative there, and that's the largest loss. So Oklo, it's going to be the biggest of both sides. Take a look at the industries. Where are you guys looking at? We got software, utility, petroleum. Building is 2. A lot of software. You got 3 software companies in here, 2 building. That's half the list. And then you got aerospace, defense, Leonardo, DRS. Let's see what the safest stocks are, right? We've had a lot of market volatility, and there's still, a certain degree of uncertainty in the market right now. And if you're wanting to focus on safety, DRS, PEN, CLS, Prim, those are the ones going to be the top of the list. Those are the ones that have favorable safety ratings, right? So they're taking on less risk than the typical stock in the database. So let's take a look at these charts here. All right, DRS. Again, the stock is overvalued. What I do like, valuation on the rise over the last 12 months with price action, right? Earnings is also on the rise. RT above 1. It's been in favorable territory now for quite some time. Again, our proprietary indicator RT does a great job. You can see it's remained in positive territory since April 9th. The close that day, $34. Right now, stock trading at $40. It's still above that 20-day EMA. We've got 2 touches as a level of support. It is diverging closer to it right now. So I wouldn't, be a big buyer right now unless we saw some momentum to the upside. I want to see it diverge away from that 20-day EMA. You might find another level of support here, see if we get a nice pivot. But with rising earnings, I do like this stock overall. It's got one of the highest VSTs in the list. If I scroll down, here's PEN. The stock here is overvalued. If I let's go to a 1-year chart. Valuation stagnant too. I don't like that. But investors are willing to buy a premium. It is above its 20-day EMA, so the short-term momentum there. Buy rating, RT above 1. Again, the RT getting in favorable territory here. So that was April 24th. Price action at $297 on the close. So you can see it's flat. It's actually channeling out here. Let's take off value. You can see the channel. You want some confirmation? Let's take out this high. Let's get above this. Let's go put you in the 300s. If price action can get, especially above 310, which were the high 4 days ago, with the upper wick here. We saw some quick resistance there. Let's get above there, right? It's a $300 stock, giving up $10 for some confirmation. Probably not a bad idea. Here we've got CLS. CLS, big breakout from this level of resistance here that I had on the chart. Full body candlestick, but today we got a closed body, the open, the price currently lower than the open. Upper wick, a little bit of a lower wick showing indecision. You know, let's take out that upper wick just to get some confirmation. But if you're in it, hey, as long as it stays above that 20-day EMA, which is ratcheting to the upside as well, I like it. RT in positive territory. RT coming in at 1.79. A lot of momentum for the bulls here, right? Next up, we have Prim Services. This is a building company, hot industry. You can see it above its 20-day EMA. The first buy rating on this position came in May 2nd. Looks like the first trading day of the month. No, second trading day of the month here. Closes at $66. Price action is now at $77. You can see the buy rating. And if we take a look at some of our market timing signal, and we're actually going to take a look at just one, the DEW. Look at the power of the VectorVest software here. These market timing signals, right as the price action got above the 20-day EMA, we got a DEW up signal letting us know that the sales of the market are in the favor of the bulls that time, right? And they're still in the favor of the bulls. We're still in a DEW up signal, right? Price action has been on the rise since this DEW up signal. If I scroll down here, TPC, again, look at this signal here, getting you in before the big jump, right? Yes, the confirmed call, that is our more conservative timing signal. It's not going to get you as close to the bottom, right? So if you're trying to bottom fish, typically the DEW. Primary wave is going to be the most aggressive, but if you're prudent, or even if you are more conservative, you can use the DEW with more conservative style stocks, right? But looking at this DEW upside, I mean, this stock was trading, let's look here. The close, $20. Now it's at $36. You almost got a bag since the DEW signal has been an up situation. And what, 3 weeks about? Look, earnings per share, nice jump recently. RT in positive territory. I like what I see here. I do like what I see. The RT relative timing at 1.93, the prior high at 1.97, right? So you can see it's starting to wane a little bit. Even though price action's still jumping up, you can see it's starting to roll, infant rollover. I'd protect profits for sure, especially with the indecision here. If you're looking for confirmation, either way, look at today's wick. If we get a breakout to the downside of that wick, hey, protect profits. If we get a breakout to the upside, it's probably going to keep running a little bit. We'll see. If I zoom out, let's see if we get any kind of type of resistance here. No real resistance to break off. It looks like we're at all-time highs. Here we've got Oklo. Let's go back to 3 months. Look at that price action. Nice steady curve diverging away from that 20-day EMA. The transition from a sell during that downward momentum, now a hold, has held in place for over a trading week. Since the DEW up signal was given, the stock was $23. Now it's $36. That is the power of of our proprietary market timing indicators. The DEW is my favorite signal just because I'm an active swing trader essentially, right? And does a great job of showing you which side to be on the side, which side of the swing to be on, right? RT relative timing. Look at this, 1.93, a lot of momentum to the upside. We do have an upper wick today. I want to take out that upper wick if you're thinking about buying it. Otherwise, if you're looking at level support, in case the stock's taking a little bit of breather, probably around 31.74. You can see the gap up here. That's right where this gap is. So you'll see if it does get tempted to fill the gap, just know it could be a level support here from this prior swing high around $31. But earnings per share is on the decline value. Stock is overvalued. So I would be looking more as a swing trade, a technical perspective. As far as, fundamentals, long-term investment, I'm just not seeing it with what I see in the software here. Falling forecasted earnings, overvalued position. If you look at this growth rate in earnings, -10, sales growth rate 0, no, I can't get too excited about it. Here's SoundHound AI. Now, I'm not surprised SoundHound AI is going to take off with news of the sovereign wealth fund of Saudi Arabia putting $600 billion into AI infrastructure, right? So this might just run. We see this upper wick here. Hey, take a pause, right? Take a pause. I wouldn't be buying it anymore right now. But if we get a green light in the home page, or if we take out today's upper wick, this thing had a high of $25. The valuation still flat, right? This company got a lot of attention due to NVIDIA, right? I think NVIDIA was an investor, right, Glenn? Yeah, it was a major investor in SoundHound AI. It's been a while since I've done the story. But optimism here. Look at this big spike in earnings. We see earnings struggling over the last year, but look at this big spike in earnings. And then apparently investors hearing about the forecasted data, look, there's the big spike, boom. Went from -33 to -28 cents. So the company's losing, but it's losing less money. Again, I'm going to go with the position of momentum trade. Don't let it become emotional because the stock is way overvalued by our metrics, and it's not even making money right now. But anytime AI is hyped up in the news, the stock's probably going to run with them, right? Just like quantum, it kind of goes with the tide. Here's Big Bear AI. Again, the stock doing a great job. Look at the DEW up signal. I know people are talking about bottom fishing on tech. Well, the DEW up signal would have been a good indication of, hey, I should at least start, tiptoeing or whatever it may be when it comes to bottom fishing strategies. And that occurred back on April 23rd. The price action then was $2.70. Stock currently trading at $3.79. You see the resistance I have in here? We got a clear rejection right at the bottom of the zone here. So if you're in it, hey, protect profits. But look what price action does. If we can get above this, this thing could rock and roll for a little bit. One thing I do like, the valuation hasn't done a whole lot, but look at this. It went from 38 cents to now 59 cents recently. So almost doubling there. So that is a good inclination. But again, the stock is still very overvalued, and there are some very undervalued AI plays such as NVIDIA, Taiwan Semi, that are less risky, right? Here's the C3 AI, again above its 20-day EMA. The valuation's flat, so I was really hoping to see that maybe some kind of jump in valuation. Earnings is falling. RT just went positive here at 1.04. So if you're wanting to bottom fish, hey, as long as it can stay above this level of resistance, which is now sending level of support, if I go into 3 months here, you see the zone coming in at 23.87, bottom of that zone around 22.73. As long as price action can stay above that and above this 20-day EMA, this might also be another great momentum play. Here we've got APA Corp. This is a petroleum company. I just can't get that enthused with petroleum, especially with outputs increased on the OPEC, fears of recession, fears of demand issues, things of that nature. Value on the decline, price action on the decline, earnings on the decline, relative timing or RT. It almost got to the oscillation point in 1 at 0.95, but it's stagnant right now. If I really want to get some confidence, I want to wait for this RT to get in positive territory. In petroleum stocks, it's rough out there for them right now, right? But you see the momentum starting to wane a little bit to the downside, the hold coming in. There's a gap here. Let's go to 1 month. I'm going to base it off of this candlestick right here. If you could surpass this high, which comes around 1873, it's probably got some room to run to the upside, right? But if it rejects it and drops below the low of this candlestick, 1770, I'd be a little bit more bearish on this position in the short term, right? Because we see the indecision, the consolidation, since the gap up, so the investor's really just trying to pick a direction. So I'd rather not guess. I'd rather wait until investors, pick that direction and then go along with it. Here's QSI. This is a stock I talked about over the Christmas holidays. This is a position I got into. Now, the stock is a drug company here that does have some relations to quantum computing, things of that nature, or using quantum computing for drug applications. You see the stock was undervalued, right? The sell-off is one of the few quantum-related stocks that were undervalued. You can see price action since that DEW up signal, letting you know, get bottom fishing on your radar if that's something you're comfortable with. The close coming in at 117, while the value that day was 135. Investors pushing that stock above our valuation now, currently at 153. And if I go out to a 6-month time span, we can see earnings on the rise. RT relative timing finally getting back in favorable territory above 1. Currently sits at 1.13. All right, that's I believe that's all the stock. Yep, that's all the stocks here. Let's go back to the home page. Let's see what the market looks like it wants to do today. Looks relatively flat. NASDAQ, since we've started the stream here, again, it was around $100. I think last time we looked at it around 120. Nice channel. Looks like it's just channeling in. Let's take a look at the chart here. View stock graph. One day. So you can see since we started the stream here around 2 o'clock, the market struggling to really pick a direction here. The trading range for the NASDAQ coming in around 19,097 on the low end to about 19,145. So yes, market is having a hard time. You know, it's taking a breather today, right? There's not much momentum in either direction. We got about an hour left into the market. We'll see how it shapes up. But right now, it looks like the color guard is going to close neutral. And just, you know, throwing this out there, VectorVest is going to advocate caution when buying stocks this time, right? And if we are going to buy stocks, we know the VectorVest mantra. We like to buy rising stocks that are undervalued and that are safe, right? We want safe, undervalued, rising stocks. All right, everybody. Again, put it on your calendar. Tomorrow, 2 p.m., trending Thursday. Looks like we will have Glenn back in the building here. So, you know, definitely, hype him up. He's had a long week, but he loves you guys. I always want to keep you on the right side of the market. So he will be back tomorrow on the live stream. And I just want to say, everybody have a great afternoon. Again, one down day or one mixed day in the market doesn't mean that the rally is over. But just as Troy said, stick to your stops, stay disciplined, because as we all know, things can change rather quickly in today's market. Now, I hope this was a huge help, and I hope you found this video informative. Make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. If this is your first time coming across afternoon market action. I will see you guys tomorrow evening for the 6 p.m. video. If not, I will see you guys next week. Glenn actually might take tomorrow's 6 p.m. video. Just a heads up, he might take it. I'm not sure what the topic will be. Glenn, do you know what the topic will be?
Probably uranium stocks.
Ooh, uranium stocks. Interesting. We'll see what he has to say about that. Tune in. Again, that's tomorrow, 6 p.m. Trending Thursday will be at 2 p.m. Everybody have a great afternoon, and I'll see you next time. Bye. What are you snarling about? Huh?